Listen, most Americans don't care about his tax return. They expressed that in 2016 when they elected him to office. You know, it seems like the only people that really care about it are my Democrat colleagues or my previous Democrat colleagues on Capitol Hill, because this is the #1 issue for them. When you really look at it, you know, this is a fishing expedition. It has been. I was there in Congress when they started it out, and if we're really looking about a standard, it's critically important that we do not allow federal agencies, whether it's the IRS or tax returns or anything else, to be weaponized. We have a history of that. You can look back to Mellon and others, where Lois Lerner and the Tea Party movement, you know, really this is all about a political narrative, has nothing to do with seeking justice or anything else. You know, obviously, I don't know. I don't have any visibility into it. I read, like you did, that he got a 45-day extension. Certainly, anyone that has as many assets and as many properties as he has, a 45-day extension certainly would be warranted in terms of financial disclosures.
Can you tell us about what the president's going to announce next on China? What areas is that going to touch?
You know, obviously, there will be some of the executive order as it relates to Hong Kong and what is going on there. It's time for not only us to act, but to make sure that we do that decisively. I know there are ongoing discussions that are happening as I speak, as it relates to some of the executive orders and what we should or should not do as it relates to Hong Kong and China more broadly. But I think a lot of the American taxpayers just see China as not being a global power that was transparent with all the lack of disclosure as it relates to the early stages of the coronavirus. And so perhaps that makes us look at this and focus on it a little bit more closely. But Hong Kong's a separate issue, and obviously we're going to stand on the side of freedom.
Mark, is the president going to grant Roger Stone a pardon or a commutation of his sentence? Because even the Attorney General has said that sentence was fair.
Obviously, a pardon and commutations is something that the Attorney General can weigh in on, but that's a power that's solely reserved for the President of the United States. And I don't know when or if he will do that, but certainly as Roger Stone looks at having to report to confinement, that decision, whether it's made or not, becomes more important to make in the coming days if we're going to keep Roger Stone, who is advancing in age and in health, from reporting.
But do you think it's fair for the president to grant his friend that relief over the objections of his own Attorney General?
I think that our nation has a long history of presidents having very broad pardon and commutation power, and to suggest that this president should have any diminished power is just not in keeping with our founding fathers and with that power that has been unique and uniquely reserved for the President of the United States.
What are you hearing among
the president's scheduled to head to Florida tomorrow? I know he's talking about trafficking. He has a fundraiser there. A couple things. First, anything coronavirus on the schedule, and given what's happened in some of the past travels he's had with members of staff and Secret Service have gotten sick, is there any consideration, or was there any consideration, it may be best to just limit his travel to avoid that?
Well, listen, the last time I checked, I consider the president and many of the people that work with him essential staff. Doesn't mean that you can hide in a basement or anywhere else. You actually have to govern, and part of this is going down and making sure that our drug interdiction activities are not only well supported, we'll be traveling in a safe manner. As you know, we probably do more testing and more hand sanitizers than probably the average American, and at the same time, we can't operate in the spirit of fear. I mean, you know, life comes with risk, and certainly the president's engaging and going down to South Florida at this critical time is something that is not only on the schedule, but it's something that he should be doing.
New Hampshire, you going to New Hampshire by chance?
The current plan is for me to go to New Hampshire on Saturday.
Staff are strongly, among those strongly encouraged to wear masks.
Yeah.
For you to represent the advice wearing masks,
Well, I get tested on a daily basis, and so, well, I don't know that most Americans are looking to me to set an example on masks. And so I can tell you that from my standpoint, very clearly to the American people, I get tested every morning. So me wearing a mask is trying to make sure that you don't get it from me if we don't socially distance. And so right now we're more than 6 feet away. So you wearing that mask doesn't do me any good, doesn't do you any good. And so as I've worn the mask, I carry a mask with me. Let's see if I can pull it out of my pocket here on a regular basis. So when I'm in close confined spaces for an extended period of time, more than 15 minutes, I wear the mask. And you know, there's been more than enough pictures taken of me with a mask on. But from that standpoint, wearing a mask in the appropriate situation, whether it's the president or me, we're certainly not afraid to do that. I didn't see General Milley's testimony today. I can say this, based on actionable intelligence, I think I shared this the other day, based on actionable intelligence, I don't know that there is anything that can be done or should be done at this particular point. That being said, I want to be very clear. Whether it's Russia or any other nation targeting our American military men and women, we're going to protect them, and we're going to take the appropriate action to make sure that they're protected. And we have not only the greatest military in the world, but we have one of the greatest intelligence gathering apparatuses in the world. And so we know what's actionable and what's not. And right now, just to be blunt, my Democrat colleagues from before understand what's actionable, and if they're being intellectually honest, they know what the truth is, and yet you're not hearing a whole lot of that from them. They got briefed on it, not once but twice, some of them twice, and I didn't get a single letter, I didn't get a single response saying, what are you going to do with Russia? The only time that it came out is when it was leaked to the New York Times, and bluntly, I see that. Yeah, so the president has been very clear on that he doesn't think that we should stay in Afghanistan. And I can tell you that there is not only a sincere but a deliberate advance to make sure that we draw down troops in Afghanistan and ultimately end this endless war. The president's been very clear on that. That's the best way to perhaps address this, trying to look at Russia and what they may or may not be doing. Candidly, it should be no surprise to any of you or to any of us that the Russians never left Afghanistan. You know, they left in troops, but they've been supporting the Taliban in some way, shape, form, or fashion for a long time. So this is not new news.
What are you hearing?
Yeah.
No one has said, and we didn't get the chance to ask him earlier, what is his reaction to justices who have gone before such and how they ruled?
We haven't talked about their reactions. We haven't talked about their reactions, and I don't know that at this particular point, since it's been remanded to a lower court, and with the actual decision that's been made, you know, you can look through the decision. There are some things that you can embrace. The fact that you can't use it to harass presidents, not just this president, but any future president, is a good thing. And yet, the problem that I have is not necessarily with the justices, it's with the genesis of why this ended up being in the Supreme Court to begin with. Because I happen to know that a lot of that had a genesis that came from Democrat colleagues on Capitol Hill wanting to use it for a political advantage, not necessarily for justice for all.
What are you hearing as the current mood among Republicans about the president's poll numbers?
I don't know that most of the Republican members have seen any presidential poll numbers other than the ones that are broadly broadcast. I think if 2016 taught us anything, is not to pay too much attention to the polls, especially 4 months out.
Does the president
All right.
himself remain confident?
Thanks, Guy. Y'all take care. All right.